You've been told to just walk more and pop a memory pill, but if you're over 60, that advice is incomplete. There's one simple practice you can do in a chair in 15 minutes that combines movement and focused thinking in a way that targets the brain and the body at the same time. It's not a magic cure, and I'm not here to sell you false hope, but this mental motor routine may give you practical memory benefits and functional gains that supplements alone typically do not provide. Stick with me, and I'll show you exactly how to do it, how to progress, and how to stay safe. Researchers and surgeons have been surprised to see how much targeted practice changes outcomes for everyday function. That's the spirit behind this routine. Not a pill, but a repeated, attention-rich movement practice that trains your memory networks while you rebuild strength and balance. If you're over 60 and want step-by-step, evidence-informed routines you can do at home, hit like and subscribe, and then try the first exercise today. Older bodies face two related problems as we age. One is sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength that makes standing up, climbing stairs, and catching yourself from a stumble much harder. The other is that our cognitive systems also become less responsive to passive stimulation. Walking helps circulation and mood, and certain supplements may have modest effects for some people, but neither of those on their own forces the brain and the body to coordinate under challenge. That coordination, the brain working with movement under attention, is the core of this approach. Scientists call this dual task or mental motor training. You perform a purposeful physical action while your brain focuses on a cognitive challenge. That combination recruits wider brain networks than movement alone and creates practical transfers. The things you want to keep doing, remembering names, following a recipe, getting up from a chair without wobbling, are tasks that require both memory and motor control. So instead of training each system separately, we merge them. That's the This Mental Exercise in the title, a short protocol pairing a focused mental task with each chair-based movement to amplify brain stimulation while rebuilding strength. You'll use 5 chair-based movements as the physical framework. Each movement is fast to set up, safe, and scalable, and each gets a specific cognitive pairing. The 5 are seated calf raises, seated knee extensions, seated hip marches, seated rows with a resistance band, and sit-to-stand squats. For every movement, I'll give you why it matters, how to do it safely, the tempo and rep range, a cognitive task to pair, and progressions. You can do the whole sequence in roughly 15 minutes, 3 times a week, or pick a movement and practice it daily. Always check with your physician if you have major health concerns, recent surgery, uncontrolled blood pressure, or dizziness. Exercise 1. Seated calf raises, circulation, ankle strength, and attention. Why do this? Your ankles and calves act as a pump that supports balance and prevents swelling. Strong calf muscles help you steady your step and prepare you for standing tasks. Paired with a focused mental task, these rises can recruit attention networks while you build endurance and circulation. Setup. Sit upright on a sturdy chair with feet flat on the floor, hips and knees at about 90 degrees. Hands rest lightly on the sides of the chair for balance. Choose a chair that won't slide. If needed, put it against a wall. How to do it. Press into the balls of both feet and lift the heels as high as you comfortably can, then lower with control. Aim for a slow 1 to 2 second lift, hold briefly at the top, and a 2 to 3 second controlled descent. Keep your core gently engaged and avoid gripping the chair too tightly. Tempo and reps. Start with 2 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions. Rest 60 seconds between sets. As you get stronger, increase to 3 sets of 15 to 20. Cognitive pairing. Serial 3 subtraction. Before the first rep, pick a starting number between 90 and 200. As you lift and lower for each repetition, count backwards by 3s aloud or silently, like 197, 194, 191. The cognitive demand is steady but not overwhelming. If subtraction feels too hard, do serial 2s. If it's too easy, try serial 7s for added challenge. Progression. Add ankle weights, 0.5 to 2 pounds, or perform single leg calf raises, keeping one foot slightly off the floor, once you can do 3 sets of 20 easily. For extra cognitive load, switch to recalling a 3-word list at the end of each set. Safety notes. Stop if you feel sharp calf pain or dizziness. If you have balance problems when shifting weight, keep both hands on the chair or perform the movement with feet shoulder width apart and lower range of motion. Exercise 2. Seated knee extensions, quadriceps power, and name-image recall. Why do this? Strong quadriceps are essential for walking, standing from low seats, and controlling stairs. Building controlled leg extension reduces fall risk and supports independence. The mental pairing trains associative memory and visualization, skills used every day. Setup.
Sit tall near the edge of the chair with your back straight and weight evenly distributed. Feet flat, hands lightly on the sides. How to do it. Extend one leg forward until it's straight, keeping your thigh anchored in the chair. Hold the straightened position for 1 to 2 seconds, then lower slowly to 2 to 3 seconds. Alternate legs or complete all repetitions on one side before switching, depending on your fatigue level. Tempo and reps. Begin with 2 sets of 8 to 12 extensions per leg, resting 60 to 90 seconds between sets. Increase to 3 sets and 12 to 15 reps per leg when tolerable. Cognitive pairing, name-to-face imagery.
Before you begin, think of 3 people you know, not just their names, but a vivid image of their face and one detail about them, a hat they wear, the color of their hair, the way they laugh. As you extend a leg, picture the person's face as clearly as possible and say their first name aloud or silently. After a set, try to recall the 3 additional details you imagined. This pairing trains visual associative memory, making faces and names stick together. Progression, add ankle weights for resistance. For a cognitive increase, switch to a short shopping list, 3 to 5 items, and recite the next item aloud every other rep, then recall the full list at the end. Safety notes, avoid locking the knee joint at full extension if you have osteoarthritis. Work in a range that feels comfortable. If any sharp knee pain occurs, reduce range or consult a clinician. Exercise 3, seated hip marches, hip flexor conditioning, balance prep, and alternating category recall. Why do this? Marching trains hip flexors and core stability, movements essential for walking and preventing trips. When paired with a rapid alternating recall task, you force the brain to shift attention quickly while coordinating legs, a realistic simulation of everyday challenges. Setup, sit near the front of the chair with an upright posture, feet flat. How to do it? Lift one knee a few inches off the seat, then lower. Alternate legs in a marching rhythm. Keep movement controlled, aiming for 1 second up, 1 to 2 seconds down. Tempo and reps. 3 sets of 20 marches, 10 per side, is a solid starting point. Rest 45 to 60 seconds between sets. For frailer individuals, start with 1 to 2 sets of 10 to 12 total marches. Cognitive pairing, alternating category recall. Call out or think of a category for odd-numbered marches and a different category for even-numbered marches. For example, odd equals fruits, apple, banana, orange, even equals cities, Boston, Miami, Paris. On each lift, name one item in the correct category, alternating quickly. This trains rapid task switching and semantic retrieval, functions tied to everyday memory and attention. Progression, increase march height or add light ankle weights. For cognitive load, use smaller categories or less familiar ones, example scientific terms v animals, or limit response time to force quicker retrieval. Safety notes, if hip pain limits movement, reduce march height or perform isometric lifts, lift slightly and hold for 2 to 3 seconds. If you feel lightheaded while speaking, pause and breathe deeply. Exercise 4, seated rows with a resistance band, mid-back strength, and verbal fluency. Why do this? Good posture and upper back strength reduce stooped posture and improve breathing and balance. Rowing movements also support reaching and lifting safely. Paired with a verbal fluency task, this exercise engages language networks from sustained attention during exertion. Setup. Sit with a resistance band looped around your feet or anchored in front of you at seat level. Hold the band with both hands, arms extended, shoulders relaxed. How to do it? Pull your elbows back, squeezing shoulder blades together, then release with control. Aim for a 1 to 2 second pull and a 2 to 3 second release. Keep your chest open and avoid shrugging shoulders. Tempo and reps. 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions. Rest 60 to 90 seconds between sets. Use a band tension that challenges you without forcing upper body momentum. Cognitive pairing, verbal fluency. Pick a letter like S or a category like things you find in a kitchen. During each set, name as many words as possible starting with that letter or fitting that category while performing repetitions. You can speak 1 or 2 words per rep or list several within the set if you prefer. The goal is sustained retrieval alongside exertion. Progression. Increase band resistance or switch to a heavier band. For cognitive progression, limit the category, like kitchen tools, or pick less common starting letters. Safety notes. Keep shoulders down and avoid rounding the lower back. If you have recent shoulder surgery or pain, consult a clinician before loading the band. Exercise 5. Sit to stand squats, functional strength, and story-based memory sequencing. Why to do this? Sit to stand is one of the most predictive functional tasks for independence. It trains hip extensors, quads, balance, and coordination. When combined with a short sequence recall, it becomes a powerful dual-task exercise. You're demanding motor control and episodic memory at once, which is directly relevant to daily living. Setup. Use a sturdy chair without wheels. Position feet hip-width apart, slightly back under your knees so you can stand without using momentum.
Arms can be across the chest, extended forward, or lightly on the arms of the chair. Choose what's safe and challenging for you. How to do it. Lean slightly forward at the hip, shift weight to the heels, and stand up smoothly. Lower slowly back to a seated position with a controlled 2 to 3 second descent. Avoid plopping down. Aim for full stand to a light seat touch, not heavy sitting. Tempo and reps. Start with 2 sets of 6 to 10 repetitions. Rest 90 seconds between sets. Increase to 3 sets of 12 as you build strength and confidence. Cognitive pairing. Story imagery sequencing. Before the set, create a short mental story made of 4 distinct items or actions, like coffee mug, blue umbrella, red bicycle, ringing bell. As you stand for Rep 1, visualize and say the first item, Rep 2, the second item, and so on. And then, after finishing the set, try to recall the full sequence in order. Reverse the order for extra challenge or extend to 5 items as you progress. This trains working memory and sequencing alongside the powerful functional movement of standing. Progression. Add a small dumbbell or weighted vest once you can perform 3 sets of 12 to 15 with good form.
For cognitive challenge, increase the story length, add sensory details to each item, or combine with a brief math task after standing. Safety notes. If rising is difficult, push from the arms of the chair lightly or use a higher seat initially. For very frail individuals, begin with partial stands, lift a few inches, or practice leaning to the edge of the chair and isometric hold while doing the memory task. Putting the 5 together, session structure and pacing. If you want the full routine, plan for about 12 to 20 minutes total. A safe template is warm-up, 2 minutes of gentle seated marching and shoulder rolls. 1 block per exercise. Choose 2 to 3 exercises for a short session or all 5 for a full session. Work pattern. 2 to 3 sets per exercise with the cognitive pairing engaged during each set. Cool down. 2 minutes of deep breathing, gentle ankle circles, and light neck mobility. An example 15-minute session. 2 minutes warm-up seated march and shoulder rolls. Seated calf raises, 2 sets of 15 with serial 3 subtraction. Seated knee extensions, 2 sets of 10 per leg with name to face symmetry. Sit to stand, 2 sets of 8 with story sequence recall. 2 minutes cool down breathing and gentle foot pumps. Frequency and progression. A practical program is 15 to 20 minutes, 3 times per week, with at least 1 rest day between sessions. Start with the easier pairings and lower reps in week 1. Add repetitions or an extra set in week 2. Introduce heavier resistance or longer cognitive sequences in week 3. If you prefer daily practice, use shorter sessions, 10 minutes focusing on 1 or 2 moves, and rotate which exercises you emphasize. How to monitor progress. Track both physical and cognitive markers. Simple measures you can use at home include physical, number of sit-to-stands in 30 seconds, how many calf raises you can do before fatigue, or whether you stand up without using your hands. Cognitive, a 5-word recall test at the start and end of a week. Write down 5 unrelated words, see how many you remember after the session, or ability to complete the cognitive pairing with fewer mistakes. Subjective, daily notes on confidence getting up from chairs, stability while walking, or fewer stumbles. Expect to notice changes in confidence and stare or standing function within 2 to 4 weeks if you practice consistently. Cognitive changes are subtler and cumulative. The value here is that you're training memory and context while the brain is active during movement, which is exactly when you most need it. Why this may be better than supplements for everyday memory tasks. Supplements can offer supportive nutrients and in some cases modest effects for specific populations, but they act systemically and often tacitly. This routine does something different. It deliberately engages the brain's memory, attention, and executive networks while the body performs real functional movements. Dual task practice is the kind of stimulation that research in cognitive rehabilitation and aging increasingly highlights as promising for maintaining everyday function. In practical terms, that means you're training the exact combination of skills, remembering, planning, and moving, that matter when you stand up to get the mail, follow a recipe, or catch yourself from a stumble. To be clear, I'm not saying this routine is a definitive cure or that every supplement has no value. Supplements vary widely, and some people may find benefit from them. What this routine offers is a low-cost, repeatable practice that targets function directly and can be used alongside medical advice and any supplements your clinician recommends. In many cases, combining a targeted mental motor routine with lifestyle measures is a more functional approach than relying on pills alone. Safety and medical considerations. Before starting, if you have any of the following, check with your physician. Recent cardiac events, severe osteoporosis, joint replacement in the prior months, severe uncontrolled hypertension, significant dizziness or fainting, or any condition where exertion is medically restricted. If you feel chest pain, severe shortness of breath, lightheadedness, or sudden severe pain during an exercise, stop immediately and seek medical help. Modify intensity to match your current level. Use higher chairs, arm support, lighter resistance bands, or isometric versions of movements if you're frail. If you have a caregiver, ask them to stay nearby the first few sessions. Progress slowly. The goal is consistent practice, not pushing through pain. Tips to make the routine stick. Pair practice with a daily habit, like right after breakfast or while listening to a favorite radio segment. Keep a small notebook or phone note of physical and cognitive measures to track changes. Recruit a partner or family member for accountability. One person calls the cognitive prompts while the other moves. Start with the movements you find most useful in daily life. If getting up from the chair is already hard, prioritize sit to stand with the memory task. Celebrate small wins. More stands without hands, clearer recall of your shopping list, or less wobble when turning. Real-world examples. Imagine Mary, 72, who had been avoiding stairs and relying on the handrail. She started by doing sit-to-stand sets with a 4-item story sequence 3 times a week. After 3 weeks, she could stand more confidently, and more importantly, she found she could remember a short list of items while bringing dishes from the sink, a functional win. Or picture Carlos, 68, who had swollen ankles and low energy. He began seated calf raises with serial 3 subtraction. The movement improved circulation, and the mental task sharpened his focus so he stopped forgetting where he set his keys.
These aren't miracles. They're small, practical improvements that add up when you train both systems together. Common questions. What if I can't do all 5 exercises? Do what you can. Even one movement with its cognitive pairing done consistently is valuable. Start there and add more as you get stronger. How long before I see memory improvement? Cognitive benefits are gradual. You may notice improved attention during tasks within a few weeks and clearer recall for the paired challenges as the neural pathways strengthen over months. Can I do this with a caregiver? Yes, caregivers can call cognitive prompts and help with safe progression. It's a great way to turn exercise into purposeful interaction. Should I stop supplements? No. Discuss supplements with your healthcare provider. This routine is complementary, not a replacement for medical advice. What if I have mild cognitive impairment? This routine can be adapted to your level. However, coordinate closely with your clinician or therapist, as they may recommend additional or alternative strategies. Final practical checklist before you start. Choose a sturdy, non-slip chair and clear a small space around it. Pick 1 or 2 exercises to begin with and plan a 3 times per week schedule. Decide on cognitive pairings you will use for each set and have a short list ready. Warm up for 2 minutes, cool down for 2 minutes, and keep a notebook to record reps and memory checks. Get medical clearance if you have major health concerns. This is a low-cost, scalable practice you can start today. It's built around movements that restore the strength you need for independent living, and it deliberately layers a mental challenge on top, so you're training the brain when you're most likely to use it. That combination, targeted movement plus focused attention, is why this single mental motor routine may provide functional memory benefits that many supplements alone do not. Now I want to hear from you. Which exercise will you try first? Drop it in the comments and tell us how many reps you did and which cognitive pairing you used. Come back in 2 weeks and share what changed. Small wins matter. If you want follow-up routines or a printable checklist, let me know and I'll make one. You can start right now with 1 simple rep of your chosen move. Stand or sit tall, pick a cognitive cue, and take the first step. You're not stuck. Modest, focused practice is how independence gets rebuilt, 1 thoughtful repetition at a time.